Welcome. I'm Travis.
And I'm Tyler, and this is Strategies for Success, a show that explores many topics while aiming to equip listeners with simple and practical lessons you can use in your everyday life.
Now join us on our journey as we reach for the impossible. Hi guys, and welcome. This is Trav.
And I'm Tyler.
Welcome. Today we've got a really awesome podcast, something that's been on my mind for quite a while. I had read a famous quote, and we've looked it up here, but we want to talk today about the difference between a hero and a coward.
Difference between a hero and a coward. So the quote that Travis is referring to was from Mike Tyson's trainer, the famous boxer. He said, "You think you know the difference between a hero and a coward, Mike? Well, there is no difference between a hero and a coward in what they feel. It's what they do that makes them different. The hero and the coward feel exactly the same, but you have to have the discipline to do what a hero does and to keep yourself from doing what the coward does."
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, every man, I think, desires to be the hero to some level. And we want to be the hero to our family, the hero to those around us, maybe. But I started thinking, what does it mean to really be a hero? And a lot of times it's just like the quote said there is no difference between a hero and a coward. It's the men that find themselves and women that find themselves in a situation that they have to act. And the difference between a hero and a coward is the ones that choose to act and the ones that choose to run.
Right, it's action versus inaction. So whether you do something, do the right thing, or whether you choose to not do anything at all, oftentimes that's probably, the inaction is probably the wrong choice if you can avoid it, but
The ones that choose not to execute, right?
that's right.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Me and Tyler were talking about heroes and cowards and kind of defining this before we started the podcast. And, you know, especially in my life, I've been guilty of putting people on pedestals. So you have people that you look up to, and we've talked about a little bit about this in some of our previous podcasts about mentors and heroes. And here recently, there's been some childhood heroes that have passed away from people that I have seen online, like Hulk Hogan and different ones.
Yep.
And people are talking about that was my hero. And you want to think, what did that person do that made them that hero? And then you've got these people that society looks down on, and you can look and I challenge you to look up people. Just type in the keyword hero, you know, and look at what defines people. You'll see people wearing medals. You'll see people that are have done these great things. But keep in mind when you're looking at this, it wasn't that person because they were some great person that did this great feat. What it was they were put in a tough situation and they decided to execute.
Yeah, and sometimes in those situations, people are put in a tough situation, and a lot of times it's just instinct. They don't even really think, they just act. And so a lot of that comes back to the type of person you are, what you believe in, and kind of how you live your whole life, I guess you could say. But a lot of it is just reaction, and, you know, if you're always somebody that's trying to protect your family or protect children in your family, your friends, or whatever that may be, if someone was going to come to harm someone, you're probably going to be more likely to jump in and try to stop them from doing that than somebody that maybe doesn't have kids. I think it's a good example.
You know, you always hear what people, after a tragedy or maybe a major event or something, you always hear people say, well, if I would have been there, I'd have done this. And
Right.
we lived, me and my wife and my oldest son were in Haiti during that large earthquake. I believe that was in 2013, I believe. I'd have to double check my years there. I wasn't planning on bringing that up, but you know, what always hit me there is as soon as the earthquake happened, I felt like I got kicked into go mode and I wanted to help, and I was running and helping. And after I got done, it's not that you sit down and that you're proud of yourself or anything like that, but I thought, man, I am so happy that I didn't freeze or I didn't panic or anything. I was able to go. And I always want to be that type of person that the instinct is to respond in the right way. And I like in that quote you read, it said here that the difference is you have to have the discipline to do what a hero does and to keep yourself from doing what a coward does. And I thought as we were reading that, you know, a lot of times like police officers and different ones, they look at this and they train for days and weeks and all kinds of events, and even our military, to know how to respond to these situations, whether it's a firefighter, whoever, people are putting themselves in harm's way. They practice and they train. So just like you said, it's a reaction. It's not, you don't even have to wait for your brain to process.
Right.
You're running into the fire. It's not a natural instinct to run into a fire or to run towards someone shooting at you.
Yeah, and sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, that person's fearless." I don't think anybody's fearless. It's just a matter of overcoming that fear and not really thinking about that when you're acting in those situations.
And you never know when that opportunity is going to present itself. And so that's what he's referring to as the discipline, is you've got to be prepared and ready to respond. So take a minute as we're going through this podcast, and I want you to think about people that you've put up on a shelf as heroes.
And I think a lot of it comes back to first responders, people like that. It's a lot of selflessness instead of selfishness. So they're trained. A lot of it comes back to training and just, I mean, I don't think most people become a cop or a firefighter for the pay or the maybe even the glory or anything like
Or
that.
free coffee.
Yeah, they do it because they want to help people, and so
they want to make a difference.
Right, they want to make a difference, and when they train for that, they're always reinforcing that mindset when they do their training and when they go over everything with each other. And so when that situation arises, they just react and don't have to think.
And, you know, I've heard people say, well, that guy has a hero complex. Well, maybe not. Maybe that guy just has the discipline and wants to be ready to respond.
Mm-hmm.
So think of the people that you've put up on these pedestals, pastors, maybe coworkers, maybe government officials, maybe heroes like we mentioned, like wrestling heroes,
Athlete, celebrity, movie star, that kind of stuff.
And then ask yourself, why is this person this hero? What have they done to be your hero? And then I think you've got to remind yourself that that person is really no different than me or you. They get up in the morning, they get dressed the same way we do. They deal with a lot of the same struggles. The difference is that they've made decisions in their life that have put them into that position.
Yeah, and Travis and I were talking, this kind of goes the other way as well. Sometimes people are made to be a hero when they could have not been ready for it, like a celebrity or movie star. I've seen stories where kids that were like on the Disney Channel or something, they were thrust into the spotlight when they were young, and now that they're older, they got drug problems or alcohol problems or something like that because they really weren't ready for it. And, you know, some of these kids, it might not even been their choice, might have been their families, it might have been kind of forced into it. But once they got older, they were put up on a pedestal and everyone had such high expectations that they were already were a hero or they were going to be a hero. And, you know, sometimes those are unfair expectations for people as well.
Well, and that pressure can be a pressure cooker,
right?
If you're not prepared. And some people melt. We were talking as we were preparing for this about a local individual that several people knew that did some I guess you'd say some not too good of things and brought some spotlight in some areas that weren't too good. And I'm not trying to be foggy there, but nothing's been proven. They've been picked up by police, and everyone's innocent until proven guilty. But whether they're guilty or not, the spotlight's been shined in some areas that weren't too good. And I guarantee you there was people that looked up to this individual.
Mm-hmm.
And so those people that looked up, now their image of this person has been shattered. I see a lot of people that just struggle with being a Christian or struggle with going to church because they say, well, someone there, you know, people at church are hypocrites.
Right.
But really what it is people at church are human. You
Yep.
know, I've learned whether you're in church or whether you're at work or whether, no matter where you're at, people are just people.
And at the end of the day, people are always going to fail you at some
Absolutely.
point. So if you're looking at Christianity and you're basing it on people, they're going to fail you eventually. So you got to just look to God. And even when something happens, someone lets you down, it's a person and everybody makes mistakes and we're all imperfect. That's why we need God in the first place.
Yeah, you got to adjust your focus. It's not the pastor, it's not your mentor. Those are not the people that are saving you. The person that you should be looking to is Jesus Christ, who was the only person who came and lived on earth and that was blameless and spotless.
The real hero.
Exactly, the real hero.
Yep.
That died for your sins.
That's
so,
right.
Hey, it's time for the challenge. All right. So I want to read this again. In this quote, it said, You have to have the discipline to do what a hero does and to keep yourself from doing what a coward does. So with that being said, there's a lot of things that define a hero. If you just type in definition of a hero, there's going to be several things that pop up. But I want you to pick a hero. Could have been a childhood hero. And I want you to kind of examine why that person is your hero. And then pick a characteristic that you like about this individual, or maybe just the definition of a hero, and work on that discipline for this week. That is your challenge. All right, Tyler, we've given the challenge. We've put some words of thought out here for them, and now it's time to
execute. Thank you for learning with us.
Join us next time as we reach for the impossible. I'm Travis.
And I'm Tyler.
And this is Strategies for Success.